Those that don't learn from their mistakes will continue to repeat them, and evidently Chelsea's board just don't learn from their mistakes. A new director of football set to be announced. Another one. We've got 4 already. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Kavkas View, and today's video we have got a very interesting agenda. We're starting off with the Mane news being linked to Chelsea. We'll give a breakdown of why this is happening. Romelu Lukaku and the president of Inter Milan has once again come out and really definitively made it clear they want to keep him. I'll break that down. Then we'll talk about Paul Mitchel potentially being hired at Chelsea Football Club, which is very interesting because we already have Viville, we already have Winstanley, and we already have Lawrence. So which one of them is the head chef? We'll talk about that. And finally, the preseason. The preseason has been announced, and when I tell you it's nothing short of a calamity, let's get into it. But before we get started, I think it's very important you guys do one favor. Yeah, it's very important you don't hit that like button, because 1,000 likes is what we expect on this video. 1,000 likes is what we're starting to make the norm. So please do that out, because it's very helpful for the channel. Subscribe to the channel as well while you're at it, and in the pinned comment, follow me on the gram, because that's the place you guys can ask me for football related conversation, and more importantly, if you find anything you want me to cover, send it over there. I think it's only right we start with the Mane news, right? So Chelsea have been known to be interested in Mane for a while. Even before he went to Liverpool, Chelsea were interested, but then he went to Liverpool, he was deemed unattainable, which makes sense because Liverpool were never going to sell one of their talismans to Chelsea. When Mane became available, he decided that the right time was for him to move to the one and only Bayern Munich, reignite his career, get another passion for the game, and more importantly, try something different, be the main man there. Nagelsmann used him almost as the Lewandowski replacement. He played him in the false 9 position, and they started off very well, but then as time went on, the Nagelsmann era started becoming more politically impacted instead of focusing on the football, so the players became second nature, and it became a battle between the manager and the board. Then he gets sacked and Thomas Tuchel comes in. Rumours have it, Tuchel ain't fancying Mane. Doesn't think he's got the facilities to perform to the level of Tuchel's wonder in that system. I don't know why, that makes no sense for me. But after the Manchester City game from the first leg, there was a little incident where Mane basically punched up Leroy Sané. If you haven't seen it, go and see it. What's it called online? Sané's lip is bad, right? He must have given him one heck of a punch. And more importantly, now it's coming out that Bayern are looking to sell him. They believe that it's the right time to sell him. It wasn't the right time to acquire him on the contract that they acquired in him. And more importantly, if their main manager right now, Thomas Tuchel, doesn't want him, it doesn't make sense to have so much of the resources and wages allocated to a player that's not going to be playing. Okay, that kind of makes sense. So how did Chelsea come into this? Well, Bild in Germany is reporting that Chelsea are very interested in bringing him in. And I need to ask a question now. Why are we interested in bringing a 31-year-old, 32-year-old Mane to the club? I understand Mane is a good player. I understand Mane would most probably assist in improving this team. But do we really need another winger? We have Sterling, right? If you want the experienced winger, we have Raheem Sterling. Then on the other side, we have Mikhailo Mudryk. We already have Noni Madueke, and potentially we could have Nkunku, who might play from the wing. We don't know that. Why do we need to go and acquire another player? Guys, we need to be selling players instead of going to chase more players. This is what I think happens when you spend so much money that when you become just slightly interested in a player, everyone thinks this deal's gonna happen. I really hope this deal doesn't happen. I think Mane is a very good player, and I'm not turning my nose up on him to say, oh, he's not good enough for Chelsea, because I think he is good enough for Chelsea. I just don't think it's the right profile that we need at this moment in time. And the reason why I think we are going in a direction where we are looking at different profiles is because we've got too many cooks in the kitchen. I've said this so many times. You have got one kitchen with 4 individuals wearing the chef's hat. There is no sous chef. There are no intermediaries in below him. There is no one head man that says, you know what, this is my team. I make the decisions. I will select who plays in the sense for this club, and I will also select the manager. And this is a problem for me because evidently we've got 4 individuals now. That's what it's looking like. We got Viville, who's going to be head of the whole organization of Chelsea Football Club when we get the multi-club system. That's what my understanding is. Please, someone correct me. He came from Leipzig. We got Winstanley. Winstanley, I think, came from Brighton. He's almost like the chief scout. And then we got Lawrence, and if I'm not mistaken, he came from, I think it's Southampton. And now we've got Paul Mitchell coming from the Monaco. And all of a sudden, it's like, what are we doing? Because these clubs are all good, and don't get me wrong, they're all good clubs. But the jobs that they had at their original clubs is not the job they have at this club. At this club, you got finances. At this club, you need to be acting with pizzazz, and more importantly, you need to be acting with some vim. You need to be going and grabbing the best players and making this team competitive to win trophies. I understand you're trying to build a sustainable model, but at the same time, Chelsea Football Club was built to operate in a way that's different to a Brighton, to a Monaco, to a Southampton, to a Leipzig. It's built to win, and it's built to win now. The fans' expectation is to win now. We're not Spurs, we're not Arsenal, and we're not what Liverpool are basically, in the sense where you win one league title and you're over the moon because you're like, oh my God, we did it the right way. But then since then, you haven't done nothing. Like, realistically speaking, you haven't done nothing. You've won one league title and one Champions League. And then what? And what's next? They don't know what's next. Because the reality is, we know we can spend our way out. They don't. And this is a problem. Because what's going to happen now? Paul Mitchell is set to join Chelsea. He's got a great relationship with Maurizio Pochettino. And I respect. I think this is good. It means that if we're getting Maurizio Pochettino, and they're going to get Paul Mitchell to be the main guy here, then what? What happens to Win Stanley and what happens to Lawrence? Because the reality is, they're not going to want to sacrifice their power. And they're going to want to be the main alpha in this situation. They're going to want to be the face of the project. And we, once again, don't have a face of a project. Very confusing situation, really muddled up. And it stinks of, let's get as many experts as we can, the same way we've done on the pitch. Let's get as many talented individuals as we can, mix them all together, and then see what we can cook up. No. Get your ingredients, measure them out, plan accordingly. It might take 2 years, but at least then we know what we're cooking. At the moment, brother, I don't know whether you're making pizza or lasagna. I don't know if you're making chips and fish or you're making bangers and mash. I don't know. Because the reality is, the ingredients are all over the place. I don't know if it's a fruit trifle you're trying to make or mozzarella and garlic bread. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. Really confusing. I am back. Another thing that really irritated me. So the pre-season allocation has come out of what Chelsea are going to be doing this year. Look, I understand this is a business. And I understand that you need to take the club around the world. Or in this case, you need to take the club to America. And you need to flaunt the club. You need to basically illustrate what this club is made of. Or look at how amazing we are. Look at all our talent. And there are a lot of people in America that want to watch Chelsea play. It's understandable. Look, I watch the NBA. Quick story, right? I watch the NBA. I wake up at stupid hours to watch the Celtics play because I love the Celtics. So there are a bunch of Chelsea fans and a bunch of Premier League fans in America that want to watch these teams play. So when they go there, the demand's going to be there. I understand that. And I think Chelsea should go. But what I don't think Chelsea should do is what they're doing now. Now listen to this. Wrexham is the first game. 3 days later, they're flying to another state, they're playing Brighton. 4 days later, they're flying to another state, they're playing Newcastle. 4 days later, they're flying to another state and playing Fulham. Then they're playing Dortmund 3 days later. Altogether, in a span of 19 days, they're playing 5 games. Guys, that's not sustainable for a pre-season. And more importantly, it's not even the games that are the issue. It's the flying around America. America's massive. It's not like you're going from London to Paris, Paris to Lisbon, and then Lisbon to Madrid. It's not like that. Because the reality is, it's not an hour flight. Half these flights are going to be 3-4 hours, 5-hour flights. And I understand. People are going to say, Alex, they get first class treatment. They go out there, they get pampered. They get asked, do you want some champagne? Do you want some food? Would you like some cookies? Like, I get it. I really do. But the thing is, guys, pre-season needs to be a camp for players to develop and become better for the upcoming season. So when that first game hits, we're sharp, ready to go. We're not going to be sharp and ready to go because we already have a fiasco in how many players we have. So we're going to have to be selling players left, right, and center. And more importantly, and this is the key that no one wants to listen because everyone likes to get excited. Who's going to be playing in these preseason games? Because if I see Hakim Ziyech on the preseason tour, we have failed the transfer window. I am telling you right now, if Hakim Ziyech is part of the squad next year, we have failed the transfer window. He doesn't want to be here. We don't want him to be here. And more importantly, I don't really think he should be here. It's time to move on. The guy wanted to move on. Sell the guy and move on. This organization stinks of commercial being first and football being second. When in reality, a good performing Chelsea sells out no matter where you go. A good performing Chelsea on the pitch makes you more money. And that's what I don't get. I know winning the Premier League and finishing third, there's not that much of a difference. But I'll tell you what is different. When you're consistently in the Champions League, when you're consistently getting to the last 8 or last 4 of the Champions League, and the brand grows. Because I'll tell you one thing. With the way football's going, success brings more attention to you. And the more attention you get, the more money you generate. The more attention you get, the more TV deals increase. So you know what, Chelsea? Maybe start winning some games. Instead of packing in all these little things where they're trying to convert fans. These fans aren't going to be converted if you suck for years to come. And that's the sad truth. On to a very controversial topic, because Romelu Lukaku, in my opinion, has become very underrated. Romelu Lukaku has went from an individual that was heavily criticized to an individual that was heavily overrated to now being underrated. Romelu Lukaku this season now has 9 goals, 5 assists in 29 games. And like I did the maths the other day for you lot, he's been only playing 59 minutes a game and coming off the bench a lot. In his last 10, he's really stepped it up. And you know what I really like about Romelu Lukaku at this moment in time? He looks like he's fighting for his future. Milan are 4th. And they're in the semi-final of the Champions League. And now the questions are starting. Morata, the CEO of Inter, has spoken to an entity, and Fabrizio Romano is reporting this. I think he spoke to Courtside. And he said, Inter are going to do their best to retain Lukaku. But we need to discuss it with Chelsea. But he loves the club. He wants to be in it. He's basically Italian. He went on and said all that stuff. Guys, this really illustrates to me that Romelu Lukaku is due to be an Inter Milan player next year. Inter Milan are going to get absolutely amazing revenue from reaching the last 4. They did not plan for this. Hopefully they make the Champions League outright by the league. And then Romelu Lukaku moves for a feed move. Whether it's 40 million, whether it's 50 million, let's see what we can get on the books. Because the reality is, I think Rom's time at Chelsea's done. Sometimes things are not meant to happen. Sometimes you're dating a girl, you break up, you get back together, you start seeing the reasons you broke up in the first. And sometimes it's just not meant to be. No matter how attractive you find her, no matter how attractive she finds you, sometimes your personalities just don't mesh. So the reality is, you just need to move on. Keep it stepping, and in this case, this is the perfect reality. Chelsea and Romelu Lukaku are just not meant to. Too many external factors impacting it. Too many, and so much has happened to the point where I believe this relationship is broken. I believe this relationship has been tainted, and I believe that even if he comes in and scores 9 goals in his first 12 games, if he goes on a barren spell of not scoring a 5, people are going to start calling him a donkey again. They're going to say he's wearing cement boots. They're going to just get on it, and I don't think that's right. I think Lukaku's better than that. I think Lukaku should be in Italy where he will dominate for years to come. And more importantly, what I see with Lukaku is he's a player that's going to age badly. And the way I say this is because I saw him today. I watched the game against Lazio. Rom got 2 assists. Rom looks overweight. And the reason I know Rom looks overweight is because these football t-shirts now that they wear is not like the old school one. Nothing is hidden, bro. You can tell if the man is ripped and ready to go. Rom looks like he's at least 20% body fat. I don't care what anyone convinces me, this man is not in tip-top shape the way he was under Antonio Conte. He is carrying a good 10-15 pounds. If he shreds that off, he becomes a different level of player. Because all of a sudden, he's quicker off the mark, he's gonna have the same strength, maybe marginally weaker because of the weight is not there. But he's always been unbelievably strong. He's an intelligent player with his movement, hence why he gets so many tap-ins, because he knows where to be at the right place and he knows how to angle his runs accordingly. So for me, if Rom gets a permanent move to Inter, he needs to get into the top shape, because then we'll see the best of him. And even if he comes back to the Premier League, we need to see that version of him. I don't know how he's going to do it in London with the food, because in London the food, bruh, it does not allow you to stay lean. You have to actively try. But it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope we get Maurizio Pochettino announced soon, because we need some optimism, because I'm dreading the Arsenal game. I can't lie. Peace out. I'm out. Adios, amigos.